Craig Lowndes, the updated point score to the bottom left of your screen by 39 over Winterbottom now. The change, Courtney, after the previous race, dropping from second to third on the ladder. So Van Gisbergen, a little further down the order as well. We're about to take a look at how they will line up. But those Falcons have looked ominous across the weekend so far. They set off on the warm-up lap. A couple of guys to watch out for include Will Davison off the third row. Here's the Fuso starting grid. The double. Mostert did it in qualifying, picking up 2 pole positions today. David Reynolds, he seems happy in that Bottle O Falcon. Maybe he can get a good start and convert something good here. Van Gisbergen and Caruso on row 4. Caruso picking up some silverware last time out for race 10 of the championship. Lowndes, can he just preserve that championship lead here? Tander outside the top 10. We've talked about the milestone for Courtney, his 300th championship race. Slade, back to Andre Heimgartner, who went off and wasn't thankfully sent to the sin bin in qualifying. We thought it might trigger a red flag, but in qualifying for this race, very late in the game, he went off. And at the time, it was at turn 3, he was up by 0.3 of a second and hopeful of getting a result that would have put him somewhere closer to his stablemates that are at the very front of this grid. And that's the other story. Fabian Coulthard at the back of the pack. On board with Will Davison. All the final checks, Neil Crompton, that the boys do on those warm-up laps.
They need to make sure they've got lots of brake temperature. They need to make sure they've got lots of tyre temperature, or certainly as much as they can generate in the shortest possible time to be race ready and try and deal with that amazing hustle that happens in the first half dozen or so corners, because it very often sets the tone for the balance of the race. And that's why these guys on screen are working the brakes and the throttle and the car just generally quite vigorously at the moment. The Fabian Coulthard back of the grid situation got out of sequence in that second qualifying today, chasing an Armour All pole, which he's enjoyed previously. Just couldn't get a banker time done, then got out of sequence, didn't get a clean run, copped some traffic, made a mistake, and just that's where he ended up. So very frustrating. That's a huge setback.
Nice and easy. Easy.
2 awesome qualifying performances by this guy, Chaz Mostert. He is the star at the moment. The difference for this race is his teammate is alongside him. We saw that in Perth, and who got the jump in those races? Mark Winterbottom did. It set up those 2 race victories. What do you think Chaz Mostert's thinking about at the moment? He's thinking about who's going to get into that corner first, and I reckon he's been working very hard on those starts. In the last race, Winterbottom came from the second row to grab second spot. So this is going to be awesome.
They look angry, they look aggressive, those Pepsi Max FGX Falcons. The energy builds from this awesome pack of V8s, and they're about to unleash all that horsepower. Good start by Winterbottom. Reynolds not so great off the line. Looks like Rick Kelly's had a good one in the Nissan, and he is fighting, in fact, for second place. Kelly will hold it. So Rick Kelly up to second place, but look at the drama back here. Both of the Holden Racing Team entries off at turn 1, along with Holdsworth, who's in the Walkinshaw stable now. Andre Heimgartner. Man, it's all happening.
He's been fired into the exit area of the old pit lane. I said in the first event today it was a much quieter opening lap than we've typically seen here. All that push and shove at 1 and 2 is very common. And this time it's claimed both the Holden Racing Team cars. Caruso covering. McLaughlin tried to wriggle around the outside. 9th and 10th, these fellas. Awesome start, Rick Kelly, to jump to position 2. So he split the Pepsi Max cars. It's Winterbottom with the whole shot leads. Then Rick Kelly, then Mostert, then Reynolds, then Whincup, who's made some ground. Van Gisbergen, then Davison, Lowndes, Caruso, McLaughlin. That's the 10.
Back to the front. Good middle sector from Rick Kelly, so he's going on with this here on the opening lap. A little bit of a buffer over Mostert, our race 1 winner. Then there's this pack here, including Whincup, Van Gisbergen, box there that it just rumbles, it comes right through you.
Lee Holdsworth is limping at the back of the pack as well. Van Gisbergen down the inside of Whincup, who's now exposed to Davison. He managed to cover that ground. Lowndes looking to jump in that gap too.
Reynolds running very close with Mostert for third position as they fly through the sweeper.
There'll be a little bit of time management in all this. Lowndes on the inside of Davison at 7. So there may be differences in the way in which everybody's decided to play their tyre usage for this second race today and what they carry forward for the 200-kilometre race tomorrow. There's Holdsworth I made mention of. Just about to put it on go, Jacks.
Waiting for me, okay, wait. Down, please. Down. Okay, wheel it in, guys.
Do the damage down that left-hand side there.
It's the voice of Lee Holdsworth in the background, and well, there's one of the victims, and that's Garth Tander. So this happened down between turns 1 and 2. His teammate James Courtney was mixed in there. Clearly Lee Holdsworth was somewhere in this, and so they've parked Garth off to the side. Let's have a look at the start replay. Awesome start by Winterbottom, who, as you said before in the broadcast, Greg has just been making beautiful starts in the recent past. Look towards the back of the pack, but well, suddenly one of the HRT cars, and it was Tander, emerges backwards. Look on the right side of screen.
Oh no.
I think both the HRT cars actually made contact. It might be that Courtney's hit Tander.
Now, is the sunlight an issue there or something? That was a big lunge, wasn't it? Very deep.
I reckon James is on the dirty side of the road. He can't stop it. He has, in fact, tagged Garth Tander, and that skittled the pack, sent James Moffat and Lee Holdsworth out. So dirty track, cold tyres, cold brakes, possibly the setting sun. And look at this. So that was Heimgartner that was rotating around. I was looking further back in the S's at 1 and 2 there, so didn't get to fully understand what happened to Andre, but we see him just, it was an Erebus car that was in that wall with him there. Luckily, he got away with that. Meantime, Rick, who clearly has grip at the moment, has closed right up 0.3 of a second behind Winterbottom. So I'm tipping that Rick's got a fresh set of tyres on, and maybe it's a mix of tyres or reusing the other set of tyres for Mark Winterbottom.
Oh, he's just trying to...
Just back to that overview you gave of the HRT cars and Holdsworth going off at turn 1 there. They're all under the Walkinshaw umbrella. So,
well, Lee was just a victim. He had nothing to do with that. So clearly, for some reason, James has ended up into the back of Garth Tander, and that's always a bitter taste for everybody inside the garage, and we'll find out more about it. We'll chase that for you.
Yeah, obviously a very sort of low feeling going on here at HRT at the moment, and trying to sort of get some words with Adrian Burgess. As you can see, he's not going to be very happy or too willing at this stage. I mean, that is the worst case scenario. It's a nightmare. Obviously, James Courtney's 300th as well, and did not start well. Neil, I think he was definitely down the inside, as you said. It narrows, as we've talked about. You talked about it before the race earlier today, about how it narrows down there, how hard it is to get into that corner, and he's definitely got caught out by that.
Yeah, it's a trap, no question. And he is still mobile, but he's down in 22nd place at the moment, James Courtney. Narrows up on you. It's filthy on that side of the road. No grip on the track nor in the tyres at that phase of the race. But this is exciting, isn't it? Jack Daniels Racing, Nissan Motorsport entry, Rick Kelly. A couple of car lengths behind Mark Winterbottom. Chaz Mostert in position 3. Didn't get away from the line nearly as well as he did in the earlier race.
Pit lane drive to penalty, car 22. Pit lane drive to penalty, car 22 from...
That's the voice of the race director, Tim Schinken, and that is Courtney being called in from behind Fabian Coulthard for his role in turfing Garth Tander off the road. And that'll put him right at the back of the pack.
lots of battle scars to the 22 as he came into the lane there. You could see it. Fastest lap of the race now belongs to Mark Winterbottom, a 1:25.26. The previous lap, it was Rick Kelly's. Here's the slow run through the lane, the penalty.
So the margin just stabilised somewhat now between these two fellas. So Winterbottom and Rick pretty much lapping at the same speed, and their sector splits are very similar at the moment. We'll get a bit of an idea of car behaviour looking at the Falcon and the way in which Rick's car is working at the moment. Sounds good, doesn't it? And the word that I've just had from the pit lane is that it's likely that he's on his qualifying tyres, Rick Kelly. And so some of the teams will also play the usage of their tyres across the whole of weekend rather than any one particular race. So there's a little bit of that going up and down the lane. Trying to get the truth of that story, I might mention, is a very difficult one. You actually need to be the one fitting tyres to rims to fully understand it.
Well, guys, HRT has just come out into the pit lane. They've actually got wet set up out here, which makes me think that they're going to bring James Courtney in and potentially retire that car by the looks of it. So just hold tight on this one. But the team are in the pit lane ready to receive one of their cars. And I don't think Garth Tanner's mobile, so I would say it's for James Courtney. And
so that'll be to pay forward, hopefully using tyres for tomorrow, knowing that there's very few points available from this point. James is 47 seconds from the lead of the race, and here he is rolling in. Pretty significant damage in that door there as well, so there's not going to be much of a yield out of this afternoon other than just a handful of points if he did stay out.
Had been pretty consistent in the championship so far, came in second on the ladder, dropped to third after race 10 today.
Under the boom, we're going to try and hit the bonnet down. We're going to put 4 tyres on. Okay, line yourself up, slow it down, mate. That's it, there we go, yep. Okay guys, do the wheels, okay, get the wheels on. Sway, keep.
Putting wets on, as Murph said.
Go out, go slowly, okay? Go.
So they're just going to load them, or what are they doing here, I wonder? He's got to put the rain light on when these are on the car too. Rule states that if the wets are on, you've got to have the high intensity light on. That's probably a message that's been forgotten in all that.
Back to Craig Lowndes, who sits in 8th position, just ahead of him. Will Davison, there he is, there's the Mercedes.
Lowndes having a look down the inside here of Will Davison. He's just trying to make the most of it at the moment, Craig Lowndes, having come into the weekend with a solid points margin. A little bit of that was whittled away in the previous. So that position he's in at the moment, certainly not ideal, but it still yields reasonable points.
Adrian Burgess, mate, these are the worst situations you could ever have in car racing, really. Obviously, James got a little bit wrong going down the inside there. It narrows up so much and he collected GT, but what's the process now? You just brought him in through some wets on that car.
Oh, look, we're last. We just got a PLP because he made a stupid judgment, paid the price. We're wobbling around at the back, 30 seconds behind the car in front. No one's been overtaken. There's no point burning up a set of tyres for no use. We might as well put a set of wets on, save the tyres for tomorrow's race.
Okay, mate, thank you.
And just as we went to talk to Adrian, thanks, Greg, we saw James locking up profusely into turn 1 on those wets as he first came out of the lane. So they've asked him to drive gently because that'll murder those blocks and it'll round the edges. It'll be diabolical to drive in a couple of laps. So he'll have to roll around unbelievably gently. Meantime, as that was all finishing and we're tidying up that story, there was more drama down here. James Moffat, was it Moffat?
Looked like it to me, yeah.
You spun around and frightened me then.
He's down in 22nd position. Meantime, his teammate here is Nissan Motorsport stablemate having a great run, Rick Kelly. And we'd love to get your involvement in the coverage too. On Twitter, #V8SC. Bit of support for Nissan Motorsport. It was 117 races ago that Rico had his last win. Sandown 2011. He's yet to win in a Nissan. Could this be the day? He battled in that controversial race with Cameron McConville years ago. McConville getting the win on that last lap. Rick had been the form driver pretty much on the day. But it's Winterbottom leading the way by 0.45 from Rick Kelly, then Mostert. Let's take a look here on the replay. It is the 99 of James Moffat that we were talking about before. Enters, and there's clearly a hit there. You can see it from Jason Bright. So will that necessitate some sort of investigation? That was the aftermath, and did a very good job, everyone, to avoid that. Andre Heimgartner coming through, and I think Fabian Coulthard. Heimgartner down in 20th. Here's Bright. Is that likely to be the subject of some sort of investigation?
Squeezing up between first and second on this lap. Just a little bit of the margin disappeared there. This gives you an idea of where the battle packs are. Lowndes still tailing Will Davison there, just inside the top 10.
David Reynolds, that quick lap recently, a 1:25.12, best of this race so far. So he keeps that pressure on Chaz Mostert for third spot. Back down through the gearboxes, Will Davison. Lowndes continues to harass him. This is good stuff.
And they're approaching the area that I made mention of pre-race in that gap between turns 1 and 2. It's really difficult with that setting sun there. Right here, where they just are seeking the apex, and then you go in and out of the shade and then pop out the other side. It's super bright again. When you get back up at this end of the circuit, it's getting a little bit better now, but it's quite difficult to just exactly spot the apexes that you're seeking.
You've talked about being here on test days and how the day is kind of bookended by the Hollywood numbers, isn't it? Generally, does the car feel good? Does the grip level feel good at this stage of the day when things start to cool off?
Yes, you typically get more lap speed in the morning and in the evening. Here's James Moffat in as a result of the incident that you saw in the replays there before, so a change of rubber there. Winner here in 2013 for Nissan. So a little bit more aggravation in this one than the previous. Across the field, and James, with those new tyres on, or another set of tyres on, departs. So 0.6 of a second, the gap between Winterbottom and Kelly, so it remains very tight at the present time.
Well, guys, just give you a little update on Fabian Coulthard. Just went in there and tapped on Kim Jones's shoulder, and he confirmed that car 14's running the same set of tyres that they used in the first race. Obviously starting way off the back in last position, 25th. They weren't going to ruin a set today, and they're saving it forward for tomorrow.
I think there's a little bit of that going on here and there, Greg, and some are probably holding back an entire set or at least half a set. This is Rick Kelly, P2. 0.69 of a second last time through. The last podium for Rick Kelly was at the Sandown Sprint in 2011. So if he can stay in the location where he is at the moment, this will be a nice reward.
Scott Sinclair, a disappointing incident there for James Moffat. Just brought him into pit lane. I assume you've put him on to some old rubber for tomorrow.
Yeah, well, we've just put the fronts on from the first race, rears on from the first race actually. So we'll save a couple of tyres for tomorrow, and that'll put us into a bit better position. But yeah, disappointing. I think it was Bridie that spun him round, so he's out of the race now. He's still in front of Courtney, I think, but that's about it.
Great result at the moment for Rick Kelly, sitting there in P2 and really catching up to Mark Winterbottom.
Yeah, he's actually looking quite pacey, which is good. And I think I said earlier to Murph that it was good that we could still see the FPR rear bumper. Now we're right on it, so that's good for us, and hopefully he can get it done.
Fingers crossed for a great result. Thank you.
Thanks.
Just updating you with a little bit of the fresh air between the first and second. It's 0.77 now. So it's just fluctuating a tenth either way at the present time.
Meantime, Reynolds keeps the acid, the pressure on Mostert. Mostert's got a car length or two there now. Looks as though Van Gisbergen closing on that pairing. You can see there. Then the gap back to Whincup. It just seems the Nissan has some strengths in certain parts of the track, and then Winterbottom can stretch in that FGX in other places. So some gamesmanship as a part of this one. Everyone thinking ahead to tomorrow. Fabian Coulthard, we reset for tomorrow. We qualify again. We have a much longer race, 200 kilometres, where strategy and pit stops become a real factor.
Fastest car on the last lap was in fact Jamie Whincup in position 6. Winterbottom was the second quickest. The guy in second place at the moment, Rick Kelly, was 8th fastest. Just gives you an idea of how knife edge it is between all of those guys, the sharp end. This is Reynolds. He's sitting in 4th at the moment in the dirty air, right behind the race 10 winner, Chaz Mostert.
Just like Chaz, nice, gentle inputs. What were your observations of Reynolds there as he came through? It looks comfortable, doesn't it?
Had a good chat to David before the start of the race, and he just reiterated the things that seem obvious, that he's working really well with Brad Wushison, his engineer. It's an often used phrase at the moment, but he is genuinely relaxed, and the reason he is because the car's going well and he can feel it, so that boosts his confidence. So he's quite happy with it. He's just not quite there with the setup, was his description, but very close to it. So they're making minute changes to that car. But he can strike from there. And he'll get a good qualifying or a good start, or things will go his way at some point in the near future, and you'll see him further up the podium. But yeah, he's very happy. And the car clearly, when you look at it with the onboard shots there, is pretty settled. Lowndes is working very hard on the back of this car at the moment. So, and it's a bit deceiving because you see the very rapid turn in and closure in the early part of the corner from Craig Lowndes, and you think, oh, here we go. But it's the way in which he does it. It's a technique difference between the two drivers, and what he gains on the way in, he often loses on the way out. And there's that belting sun that I talked about before at the very top of the race. Not so much of an issue at turn 10, but it's a bit of a punish when you make the little short shoot run between 1 and 2. This is the second last corner, and there's the little rush that we talked about. So, and then a bit of oversteer on the exit for Craig. It's an elastic band, it stretches on the other side. So very hard to see the apex there in 12. On that limiter, turn in here, and then it just whacks you right in the middle of the corner. And then a few trees and buildings and marshalling posts and what have you, and depending on where it's positioned and which particular day of the year you arrive, it's like Morse code, you know, someone flashing lights at you down there. It's quite blinding.
Lee Holdsworth, a very unfortunate early shower for you, mate, for this race.
Yeah, thought I got a pretty reasonable start there. Garth got a better start than me on the left, and just sort of following him through, and got to turn 1 and copped an almighty whack on the side of the door, and broke my steering straight away. I saw Garth get turned around as well, and then saw there was another Repco involved. So yeah, it's no good for the team, obviously.
Doesn't get any worse than that, does it?
No, it doesn't actually. So look, we'll hope that we come back pretty strong tomorrow to make up for it.
I hope so too, mate. Leave you to it.
Thanks, bud.
Fairly tense debrief when those guys all get together, because I don't think there'll be anywhere to hide for James Courtney. He's just going to have to square up and take that one on the chin. And Adrian was pretty brutal in his assessment of it, so that kind of tells you what that debrief is going to run like. Unfortunately, those mistakes do get made. There's Eddie, everything crossed. And his young guy on screen at the moment on target for a podium. Fastest lap of the race, reiterating, it's David Reynolds, 1 minute 25.1. And 0.9 of a second, so just a slight opening of the gap first to second at the moment between Winterbottom and Rick Kelly. You can see him up in the distance there. Pretty similar margin back to position 3, so they're almost identical in the gap between the first, second and third cars. Chaz having a little bit more of a fiddle with the throttle and the steering wheel in this one. If you cast your mind back to broadcast earlier in the day or even yesterday, it'll be a little bit to do with the behaviour of the car and possibly the tyre condition.
Good mixture of makes in the top 10. Race being led by a Ford at Nissan. Just up the road ahead of you there, Rick Kelly in second position. Holden in the hands of Shane Van Gisbergen 5th. Will Davison in the Mercedes 7th. And Scott McLaughlin 9th. 2 Nissans in the 10 with Michael Caruso, who had a good outing in race 10 earlier today, in the top 10.
I think stay as they are at the top of the field here. This will have a pretty big impact on the margin in the points as well, with Mark Winterbottom in position 1 and Craig Lowndes in position 8. He's going to take another pile of points. Craig's working pretty hard to see whether or not he can pocket and credit a few more points in that process as he attacks Will Davison into turn 1. But much of that cushion that Lowndes brought to Winton is going to have disappeared by the time he goes to the hotel tonight. See when the car was sliding out of turn 2 up on the exit curve there, hung up on the rev limiter for a minute before he could grab the gear because he had to deal with the slide before he could deal with the gear change.
Love the way Lowndes fires it in there. You talked about it being like a piece of elastic before. There are places where he gets close, and then that difference in technique will just responds. How close he gets here.
Sweating on him. He'll have a think about it at 11 if he gets out of this next one at 10 effectively, or the other place will be up into turn 7 in that little short gap between 6 and 7. He'll try and jink to the right and sneak down there if there's any weakness at all, and he's sliding from Will's car. He's not showing any sign of yielding to the pressure at the moment, Will Davison. He's a senior driver, lots of experience. He's won at all levels. He's not going to hand it to him on a platter.
Meantime, back at the front, right of your screen, that's Mark Winterbottom. Brilliant start once again. Awesome performance for Rick Kelly. Neil detailed it before. It's been a while since we've seen him in this position, and this is a very good reward for lots of hard work by this operation.
So going back to race 7, Western Australia, winner, Mark Winterbottom. Race 8, winner, Mark Winterbottom. Didn't end up on the podium. Remember the tyres died in the 3rd race there. And he's bounced out earlier today, immediately jumps back up. Here's the fam. Oliver and Renee. So they're going to be pretty pleased by the outcomes that they're seeing here at the moment. So he's already got a podium and he's on target here for another victory and a pile of points. That's pretty impressive. Little bloke's got the thumbs up. He's pretty pumped. He's got a mean pool room, Mark Winterbottom. Got lots of junk in there. There's trophies and surfboards and all sorts of stuff. Now what's going on here? The replay shows Nick Percat under assault from Todd Kelly, sending smoke signals at turn 3.
Kelly's in 13th, Percat 12th. Percat having another good outing in that Repair Management Australia car. We spoke with Barry Hay in race 10 today, and they can see the light. They're making headway there at LD Motorsport. His teammate Tim Blanchard, 16th for this race as well, and ahead of the likes of Scott Pye and Fabian Coulthard. .8, that's the margin to Kelly. Stable. Van Gisbergen, is he able in the 2.5 laps to go to get in the mix here with Reynolds?
I think I said in the little pit lane walk pre-race that from where he is, Whincup can build from here, can play the game. One of the things that we talked about in years gone by about his performances as he's continued to stitch together championships, that even on the down days, the bottom of the curve isn't too bad for Jamie Whincup. He's able to manage the bad days. So he doesn't have a race-winning car. He knows it. They haven't let up on it. He keeps big pressure on himself and on the team to try and rectify it. So if a bad day ends up being a 6th and you do a good job of grabbing points out of that, then so be it. And that's actually been one of the strengths of his recent seasons.
Real trademark, isn't it? 6 titles he now has to his name. Back to the front.
There we go, keep it up, there we go.
Almost a second. .99, back to Kelly.
The next, well, yeah, Rick's pretty much on his own there at the moment, but the next little group, it's not totally convincing that it'll stay that way. So Reynolds and Mostert are, together with Van Gisbergen and really Jamie, there's still potential here. This is David. Car sliding around a bit there off turn 4. Carries the brake a long way into the mid-corner. This is that area of the track I spoke of before, that if the preceding car is having a bit of a slide and a wobble, looking at all vulnerable, you can throw a tonne and a half down the inside on occasion with a block pass and just sneak underneath. But they were warned in the driver's briefing that when you do pop out the other side of that manoeuvre, a dive bomb manoeuvre, make sure that you don't cut the other guy off the road on the exit, because if you do, we'll send you through the pit lane on a little tour to wave to your friends.
It was one of the things they said they policed closely here this weekend, didn't they?
Yeah, because we've seen a lot of it over the years, that's why. So if you roar in there with a big pile of speed and use the outside car as a brake, you effectively force them off the road, so that's not in the Queensbury rules. 3 kilometres to go for Mark Winterbottom. 0.88 of a second from Rick Kelly. It's a great moment also for everybody at Nissan Motorsport. So remember that Michael Caruso qualified well earlier. So this continues to show the form that they've been building to this weekend for Nissan Motorsport. So Rick Kelly's going to hang on for a second here seemingly, and then awesome performance by Chaz Mostert and David Reynolds for a big bundle of points here too.
What a transformation for Winterbottom as well. On Friday, he was not happy at the conclusion of practice. They effectively went for what Mostert brought to the table in setup terms yesterday. He's had a much better Saturday and continued those great starts we saw in the West. Huge result for Kelly, for the Jack Daniels team and Nissan Motorsport. Reynolds still keeping that pressure on Mostert in the background there.
Can't let him off the hook at all. And remember that whilst they're under the umbrella of ProDrive, they're in business for themselves, these guys. So 2 corners remaining now for Mark Winterbottom. He's got a second margin. Very comfortable performance. He continued to improve on the setup that was handed to him by Mostert. He gets max points.
This is a special milestone for the team that was Ford Performance Racing. Now the Pepsi Max crew score their 50th V8 Supercar race win. That's Mark Winterbottom's.
Yeah, awesome, mate. Car's good, thank you. Awesome.
Ford fans are happy. And they've been brilliant at all sorts of different stops on the tour so far. Well done to Rick Kelly from 4th on the grid. And he gets it. He gets that much deserved, that much wanted podium. Reynolds kept applying the pressure the whole way to Chaz Mostert. Hopefully he's got some good tyres in the bank for maybe a podium showing tomorrow in the 200 kilometres to come. We do it all again tomorrow here at Winton, but with a different mindset. Chance to tune the cars, but firstly to qualify, and then 200 kilometres of action with the crews playing their part as well. Some softer rubber available. Frosty is the man. Jamie Whincup, as Neil said before, 6th position. They're good points at what isn't typically a great place for them. Lowndes, what impact will it be for him? 8th in this race. There's your top 3 all on board. And a couple of others throughout the field. Special mention as well, Will Davison 7th. And McLaughlin getting that top 10 result he wanted. So with the sun starting to set at Winton, the celebrations begin for Mark Winterbottom and for ProDrive Racing Australia. Rick Kelly, he kept the pressure on very early, and it was a great charge to finish 2nd in the Nissan Altima. Mostert rounds out your top 3. Close. It was close for David Reynolds. Slade just outside the top 10. Again, more positives in this for Nick Percat. And Todd Kelly having that lock-up on the approach to turn 3 late in the race. And some tyre decisions being made, thinking about tomorrow. A few of them at the back of the field here. Oh, lonely walk back for Garth Tander, and what will that debrief be like at Walkinshaw Racing?
Yeah, that's going to be awkward, that one. They're good friends, but that'll test the friendship for sure. So Garth was parked off to the old pit lane area there, and he also has the indignity of having to watch everybody rushing up there to congratulate those that have been successful in this race. So that's very frustrating. But the focus is on this man. And congratulations to Mark Winterbottom. Impressive drive, nice control. Quite a bit of pressure in those early laps. He withstood the pressure. Don't think I saw a lock brake or the car slide. Away he went. And it's win number 30 for him career-wise.
How about the starts, though, for him at the moment? Just perfection. So that you can see everyone starting to make their way up to the area for the podium. Special celebration, 50th V8 Supercar race win for this organisation, and they've got 2 cars in the top 3.
He's now got more race wins in 2015 than any other driver. It's been quite equally spread, but that's just jumped him ahead.
Championship points terms, it is close. Craig Lowndes 796, Winterbottom 787. They're the early calculations we've got. Whincup will be 3rd. James Courtney began the day in 2nd. He drops to 4th.
Congratulations, Mark Winterbottom. Chaz Mostert, he had the pole position, but you've got the demon starts at the moment.
Yeah, it's good to get off the line well, and we tried to save some tyres then too, which was really cool. So yeah, to win that race and obviously have tyres for tomorrow is a good thing. But car was really good in that last race. Guys worked really hard, so I've got to thank them for that. And thankfully I can get off the line. That's sort of saved me a bit.
A real credit to the team as well. 50th race win for Pro Drive Racing Australia, and also you're sitting 2nd in the championship.
Yeah, it's going good. You know, we've got to try and maximise days that Triple Eight are having, that bad ones, because I don't have many. So try and do what we can. But yeah, any race win in a V8 Supercar special. So I'm glad Chazzy got his this morning, and we capped it off today.
Enjoy the podium. And Rick Kelly, sensational job for Jack Daniels and Nissan Motorsport. Your first podium since 2011 Sandown. It's been a long time between drinks.
Yeah, it has. We've been developing the Nissan behind the scenes as best we can, and look, it does feel fantastic. This track suits us, and it's good to be able to capitalise on that, that's for sure.
Congratulations, enjoy the podium.
Appreciate it, thanks.
And Chaz Mostert, he's had the clean sweep of qualifying today, but 3rd on the podium, great result.
Yeah, lacked a bit of an experience in that race. Frosty did an awesome job, got me off the line again. Something I got to work on a bit better, but we did some different tyre strategies, which we thought we were going to go a lot further backwards than that. So we were really fantastic with the podium. 2 podiums today, a win and a 3rd, and 2 pole positions. It's been an amazing weekend so far.
Great result for the entire Pepsi Max crew. There's plenty of fans on the fence there for you to enjoy the podium. Well done.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Hey, JC, mate, I know this is the worst nightmare, absolutely, but things do happen. You got trapped down the inside there. I know you sort of got on the marbles, and what happened was what happened.
Oh, it's my fault. It's just like you said, got in the junk, and then took my teammate out. So massive apologies to not only Garth but all the boys here. They worked their ass off, and silly little mistake, but it cost us pretty heavily. So I'll see GT, and apologies, not going to mean much to him at the moment, but it's my hand up. When I balls up, I'll admit it.
Unfortunately, also Lee Holsworth got caught up.
It's just made it even better.
Thanks. I know you just See you later.
See ya.
Actually, a little bit of a quiver in his voice there, so you're just underlying how difficult that set of circumstances is. So now, look at this, just 9 points between Lowndes and Winterbottom. Whincup 3rd in the standings. James, who we just spoke to, drops to 4th. And Garth Tander has just walked by our commentary box here a moment ago, and he's made that lonely walk back up the lane. Let's head back there now.
I've just had a chat to your teammate, mate. He's obviously feeling pretty average about what happened. It's a worst-case scenario, as you know.
Yeah, not ideal. Not a good day for the team.
Not a good place to watch the race from.
No, I sort of got stuck in the middle there, so I watched the race, and look, obviously not a great day for the team, but nothing we can do about it now. So we'll go and have a chat tonight, and most important thing is make the cars go faster. That's the important thing. So a lot of work to do overnight, and hopefully we come out stronger tomorrow. I mean, we had something in our car that was quite a bit different than what we had in race 1, and never really got the chance to try it. So I felt good on the warm-up lap, but that's that. So we'll regroup and have another crack tomorrow.
Okay, mate. Good luck.
Thanks.
Yeah, doing his best to sort of mask things, to try and put on a smile. Leanne Tander to the right of your screen there. Our camera follows Garth back into the... Hey, here comes James Courtney. Adrian Burgess looks pretty flat. Let's go to the other side of things, the celebrations. Chad Nalon is at the podium.
It's time for the Race 11 podium here at the NP 300 Navara Winton Supersprint. In first place, Mark Winterbottom for the Pepsi Max crew. In second, Rick Kelly, Nissan Motorsport. And in third place, Chaz Mostert, the Pepsi Max crew. Representing the winning team, Ben Milton from the Pepsi Max crew. With the third place trophy, Jacqueline Symes MP, member for Northern Victoria. With the second place trophy, David Dorborn, product launch manager for our naming rights sponsor, Nissan Australia. With the winning team trophy, Kathy McGowan AOMP, federal member for Indi. And with the first place trophy, Senator Ricky Muir, Australian Motoring Enthusiast Party, and Senator for Victoria. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2015 V8 Supercars NP 300 Navara Winton Supersprint Race 11 winners.
Pretty cool day for the Pepsi Max crew. They dominate qualifying and then take out both races. Race 1 to Mostert, race 2 to Winterbottom. Here are the highlights, and it was a superb start by Mark Winterbottom. One of the Volvos struggling to get off the line, and then all hell broke loose as they went into turn 1 for the Walkinshaw pack. Courtney went diving down the inside, made contact with Tander. He was out in the dirty stuff, and a victim in all that was Holsworth. Heimgartner, was there some sort of issue with one of the Mercedes entries? Then Courtney returned to the lane. They put on, can you believe it, wet weather tyres and sent him back in the battered 22 to try and save some good tyres for tomorrow's endurance race.
There are several things that happened in this race that are going to need careful investigation after the event. That'll happen, and we'll update you with all that information tomorrow. But despite that early pressure on Mark Winterbottom, he was able to just slowly eke away. And we heard the confirmation at the end of the race of what I suspected, that they managed to save some tyres in the process, which underscores just how much performance they've got in their cars at the moment. Well, big one there, that whack that James Moffat got from Jason. That was nasty.
Onboard was severe, wasn't it? David Reynolds, just as the race wore on, Eddie was looking a little nervous at this point. He had the fingers crossed, hoping for a podium. There's Tander, the lonely walk back up, and the nightmare for the Holden Racing team. Meantime, the Ford camp were happy. Both of the guys finishing on the podium, but this one was Mark Winterbottom's, and it was the 50th V8 Supercar win for this organisation. Second in the standings, and we will do it all again tomorrow, but the Super Sprints on Saturday have belonged to the Pepsi Max crew. So Adrian Burgess surveys the damage as Garth Tander's car returns to pit lane here. That will be a very interesting debrief. At the other end of the scale, it's all about the celebrations. Here they are, look at them. Rod Nash in the mix there. There's the two drivers, Mostert and Winterbottom. They'll enjoy that.